This is the new CJRB Bolt. I've been testing it for about the past 2 weeks, and for the price of about 50 bucks, it's a pretty awesome knife. But it's for you. Let's find out. So first off, let's discuss the knife, see what we have, and then let's also take a look at some of the best alternatives in its price range and see how it compares. So let's start with one of the main parts, which is the handle. On this one is G10, and it's quite interesting, as hope you can see it, but it's flat. But even though it's flat, it actually does not slip. It has a pretty nice grip, as it has this nice texture on it. So it provides a pretty nice grip, doesn't slip, and overall feels quite nice. And when it comes to the blade, this is an AR RPM 9 drop point blade, which is 2.7 millimeters thick, which is a pretty decent thickness for an EDC knife. It's not too thick, but also, yeah, pretty decent. As you can see, it deploys with a thumb stud and actually locks with their new Recoil Lock V2, meaning you can unlock it both with the crossbar, like this, and with the back lock, like this, which is quite interesting. The back lock is something similar to the CVV Super Lock. As you can see, it works like this, so it's quite similar. But this one actually has both options, so it's quite nice, quite fidgety, and yeah, pretty interesting. Overall, the lock actually feels really sturdy, quite nice, and yeah, so far it's feeling really nice. When it comes to the size, it has a blade length of about 82 millimeters and an overall length of about 190. So it's a pretty decent size for an EDC knife, and it's also quite light, as it actually weighs only 76 grams, which is, yeah, quite light. And it's one of the lightest of the knives I want to compare it to. So it's pretty awesome, as all of these knives are pretty much the same size. So let's start comparing them. First off, we have the SRM 258L, which is the heaviest of the bunch, but it's pretty thick, pretty massive, but a really solid EDC knife. Next up, the SRM 255L. And this one is quite similar to the 258L, but it's a bit smaller and also quite a bit lighter. It's actually even lighter than the CJRB, as this one weighs about 71 grams, so it's about 5 gram difference, even though size-wise they're pretty much identical. So yeah, pretty awesome choice. And then we have the Recoil P856, which also is a pretty awesome choice in its price range. As you can see, this one is quite a bit different. Has a bit more bulky handle and these grooves. So I'd say it's more oriented towards the outdoors and so on, but yeah, also a pretty awesome choice for 50 bucks. As you can see, I have it in 2 different colors, and yeah, they both look pretty nice. So I'll compare them. First off, even though they all look different, they all have G10 handles, which is pretty much a standard for budget blades. But when it comes to the blades themselves, they are actually quite a bit different, as the Recoil has 14C 2010, the 258L from SRM has D2, and the 255L has 10CR. So they're all different, and the CJRB obviously has AR RPM 9. But overall, when comparing them, I'd say they're all quite comparable. Now, there are some differences. I believe 14C 2010 has the best corrosion resistance, for example, but AR RPM 9 is quite a bit balanced, but has a pretty bad edge retention, at least comparing them some of the alternatives. The worst corrosion resistance obviously will be from D2, as it's not fully stainless steel, so yeah, it can rust. So all of them have their differences, but in general, I'll say none of them are bad choices. They're just a bit different. When it comes to the locks, all of these have crossbar locks. It's pretty much a standard. They're pretty awesome locks, but when it comes to the lock itself, I'd say CJRB has a bit better one. This one actually feels quite a bit more sturdy and quite nice. But in general, for general EDC use, I would say crossbar lock is enough. But if you're a tradesman, if you need a knife for more heavy tasks, I'd say this one feels and should be a bit better, as it feels quite a bit more sturdy. So now let's discuss hot cuts. And when I came in, measured in about 225 and 305, I believe, on my sharpness tester, which is not great, as yeah, above 300 is not that great, at least for not a thick blade, as it's not. So that could be better. I believe all of these were at least slightly sharper when they came in, but yeah, you can always sharpen it, but I want my blade sharp straight out of the box, and I think it's pretty justified. But as you can see, it still slices quite nicely. It's simply the fact that could be a bit sharper. Now, it's been used a bit, but still, as you can see with the rope, it's quite hard to tear it. Finally cut through. But let's compare it with, for example, the 255L from SRM. This one also has not been sharpened, and I've been using it for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. Let's see how it cuts the rope. And one slice, and it's through. So quite a difference, but overall, yeah, you can always sharpen it, and in general, I'd say it's okay, but could be better. So let's take a look at the pocket clip. And as you can see, it's a pretty long pocket clip, at least comparably. It's held in with screws, and also can be reversed to the other side, which is pretty nice. Let's compare it to our alternatives. Let's take one of our SRM knives, as they both have the same clip. So let's take the 255L, and as you can see, when it comes to length, it's about the same as the SRM. The Recoil has a slightly shorter one, and overall they look quite comparable. When it comes to strength, the SRM, I'd say, is the weakest one of them three, but they're all quite decent. As you can see, this one is quite sturdy, quite strong, and to compare with the Recoil, this one is about in the middle. I'd say this one has the strongest pocket clip, followed by the Recoil, and then the SRM. But yeah, they're all very solid. And let's show it by putting them in our pants. Let's actually put them all three together to compare them, how they hold. There's one, there's two, and three. Let's compare how they look. And as you can see, none of them really pop out. They all have deep carry pocket clips, so it's pretty nice. But now let's see how they slide. And as you can see, the SRM is the furthest. Then there's the Recoil, and this one actually has not even moved, which is quite impressive. Yeah, SRM gave in the first, then the Recoil, and this one still has not moved, which is really nice. So let's take it out. And yeah, overall, I would say none of these knives are a bad choice, and they're all pretty solid options, and for different use cases. If I need to classify them, if you need a urban EDC knife, I'd say I go with the SRM 255L, which is the lightest, and yeah, it looks quite classy, it's quite nice, quite fidgety. Yeah, overall, it's a pretty nice knife. If you're a tradesman, if you need a more reliable lock and a better grip on the handle, I'd say I'll go with the CJRB, which is quite a nice knife, with an alternative being the Recoil, which is a bit more bulky when it comes to the handle, which is also a benefit to this handle shape, as if you're a tradesman, if you need it in your pocket. First off, the pocket clip is very strong, as you saw, and with this flat handle, you can pretty much slide it in anywhere, and you'll not really feel it, which is quite nice. But as an outdoors knife, I'd say I prefer the Recoil. It has a bit of a more bulky handle, these grooves that provide a better grip, and a 14C 2010 blade, which is pretty nice when it comes to corrosion resistance. And also, it has the deepest jimping of them all. So actually compare it, as the CJRB has this narrow jimping, but it's quite aggressive. As you can see, still provides a really nice grip, but this RM actually has no jimping at all. So yeah, I'd say it's meant for urban EDC use. For that, it's quite nice. It's one of my favorite, but yeah, for outdoors use or more heavy duty tasks, I have some other choices. So overall, yeah, they're all pretty solid options. This one is a pretty solid knife for the price. I'd say it's pretty nice. So yeah, if you want to pick one up, I'll leave the links in the description. And yeah, if you like the review, leave a like, subscribe, and see you next one. Bye.